Minimalism is trending. Lately, there's been a lot of buzz about minimalism in the headlines, some of it good and some of it bad. And that's why I decided to dig in and do a little bit of research about what's hot and what's not in minimalism right now, and what we can take away from all of that going into the new year. And number one on this list is the conversation about how minimalism can help you save more money. A recent Gallup poll found that the majority of Americans rate their financial situation as fair to poor, with 50% of them saying things are only getting worse rather than better. And when they were asked to name what the most important financial problem facing their family was, inflation was the number one concern, with the cost of owning or renting a home and too much debt coming in at second and third. And that's because on top of all of the worries that you have about higher prices on essentials like food and gas, you also have mortgage interest rates hitting a 22-year high this past year, while most people's wages aren't going up fast enough to keep up with the increase in cost in living. So to combat this, a lot of people are turning to frugality and minimalism, and I think that going forward, we're going to be seeing a lot more conversations happening on topics such as downsizing, secondhand shopping, and simple living as a way to save money and still be able to lead a rich and fulfilling life. But one big shift in how people are approaching minimalism is that they are no longer so interested in taking things to the extreme. A few years ago, extreme minimalism was super popular, and there were several people who made a name for themselves as extreme minimalists. Like Rob Greenfield, who traveled the world with only 47 things in his backpack, and Heal Your Living, who went viral for living in a furniture-free apartment and owning less than 100 items. But nowadays, it seems like extreme minimalism is getting less and less popular, because back then, any video made about extreme minimalism was almost guaranteed to get millions of views. And nowadays, most videos about extreme minimalism don't even break 100,000 views. I've seen this echoed in headlines in the media and on social media as well, where experts and trendsetters say that people are moving away from empty spaces and cold interiors in favor of a warmer and cozier feel, aka the trend of warm minimalism. So extreme minimalism is out and cozy minimalism is in, which is good news for minimalists like me, who have always advocated in taking a balanced approach towards decluttering and minimalism and tailoring it to suit your specific lifestyle and needs. Trend number 3 is the trend of counting your possessions, which is on its way out. I have to say that I am really happy to see this trend headed out the door, because there is so much more to minimalism than trying to own X amount of items or less. And getting fixated on owning a certain magic number of items can start to feel borderline toxic and almost like the crash diety version of minimalism. And I think this goes hand in hand with the movement away from extreme minimalism, where people are starting to see that minimalist living isn't just a black and white or one-size-fits-all approach, but something that has a lot of nuance and feels deeply personal to each of us who practice it. And it's so much healthier for us to focus on how our life fits us and how it feels versus thinking too much about how much stuff we own, which is the perfect way to introduce trend number 4, which is that one-size-fits-all decluttering methods are also on their way out the door. For example, the KonMari method was really trendy for a while, and her philosophy of decluttering by category and only keeping items that spark joy was a huge wake-up call to a lot of people who had no idea that decluttering was a thing, and warmed them up to the idea that maybe they didn't need to own so much stuff. Especially in America, where research says that 20 to 40% of people can't fit their car into the garage because there's literally so much stuff inside they can't park their car there, and 38% of people are spending an average of $190 a month on self-storage for stuff that won't even fit into their homes. But as I said, a lot of people are starting to realize that there's no one-size-fits-all decluttering method, and what feels right and suits one person might not work as well for someone else. So most decluttering experts are moving towards a more intuitive strategy and helping people figure out how best to mix and match tips and strategies for maximum success. In fact, that's exactly what I teach people in my new decluttering course, Clutter GPS, which is unique because it teaches people the A to Z of decluttering their home and life from the inside out. so that decluttering becomes easier and less stressful. In this transformative course, we go beyond the basics of tidying up and delve deep into the psychology of decluttering, helping you to understand the root cause of your clutter and giving you a practical step-by-step roadmap on how to conquer your mess once and for all. The Clutter GPS course combines insightful lessons with hands-on exercises and over 50 pages of helpful printables across 60 value-packed text and video lessons. So if decluttering your home and life is one of your goals for 2024, make sure to sign up for the waiting list that I've added in the description box and pinned comment below so that you'll be one of the first in line when the doors to enroll in the Clutter GPS course open back up on December 31st. I already pre-sold the course to a small hand-chosen group from my private email list, and it's been incredible seeing their before and after photos and hearing about their big successes and aha moments along the way. And no matter if you're just getting started or you've been decluttering for a while but have been struggling with overwhelm and staying motivated, this course is the perfect way to jumpstart your journey or bust through your decluttering roadblocks. Doors open for a limited time only, so like I said, make sure to sign up for the waiting list that I've linked down below because I've got some fun perks and early bird discounts that I'm going to reveal when the course opens for enrollment on December 31st. I can't wait to see all of you there. Now on to trend number 5 on this list, which is the subject of what minimalism can do to reduce your mental load. And if you're not familiar with the term mental load, basically it refers to the brain power that's required to manage your life and household. Everything from remembering when bills need to be paid and library books need to be returned, to cleaning up, childcare, and checking in to make sure your spouse and children's emotional needs are being met. Conversations about mental load have absolutely exploded over the past few years. If you look at this Google Trends graph, you can see that interest in mental load started picking up in April of 2017 and has only continued to climb since then. And one thing to know about mental load is that women tend to be disproportionately more affected by it than men. And studies have found that even in households where women are working full-time, just like their partner or spouse, around 88% of them are still shouldering the bulk of the household responsibilities. A great minimalism book that kind of touches on this subject is called Goodbye Things by Fumio Sasaki. And he talks about something called the silent to-do list and how all of the things that we own need to be cared for and maintained and send us silent signals, which forces us to create a silent to-do list in our minds. And I think that the more conversations that we have and the more people open up about mental load, the more we're going to start seeing people gravitating towards decluttering and minimalism as they realize that letting go of the excess clutter in their lives is one of the best ways to welcome in peace, joy, and just an overall sense of contentment and life satisfaction. And a key point that I want to make here is that lightening your mental load isn't just about physical clutter, but it's also about clearing non-physical clutter categories, which happens to be number 6 on this list. One of my absolute favorite quotes on this topic comes from another decluttering and organizing expert, Peter Walsh, who reminds us that clutter is not just about what kind of stuff we have lying around our floor or on our countertops, and it's actually anything that stands between us and the life we want to be living. So when we think about decluttering, we don't just need to consider the piles of paper clutter or our wardrobe that's overflowing with clothes and shoes, but we also need to look at things like who we give our attention to and follow on social media, or habits like people-pleasing and feeling the need to be chronically busy, or even toxic relationships that might be hurting us or holding us back. So I encourage you to think outside of the box when it comes to decluttering and start to notice the non-physical things that are weighing you down or not adding value to your life so that you can begin to let them go. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. So feel free to drop me a comment or an emoji of examples of non-physical clutter that you struggle with or that you've successfully let go of in your own life down in the comment section below. I bet you guys can think of a lot of things that most people never considered before. So I look forward to reading your comments, stories, and insights. Marathon decluttering sessions are trend number 7 that is on its way out this year. Because a lot of people who have kids or full-time jobs or just lead generally busy lives are starting to realize that maybe pulling out all of their stuff and trying to go through it all at once might not be the best way to go about it. And what we're seeing instead is that marathon declutters are being replaced by smaller and more frequent decluttering sessions, such as 15 or 30 minutes a day. because it's less overwhelming and a good way to see immediate success and make strong and steady gains over time. The idea that I needed to pull out everything and sort it all at once was definitely a mindset that held me back when I was first starting decluttering, and it's something that I talked about in this video on the 20 most common decluttering lies, which I will link up here for you if you want to check that out. Of course, if you have the time and energy, spending a few hours running a decluttering marathon can be extremely effective, but it's important to know that it's not the one and only path to a clutter-free home. Trend number 8 is the de-influencing trend that we saw go viral on social media this past year, and de-influencing has continued to open up a lot of good conversations about patterns of overconsumption and overspending that are being driven by social media. But just like anything else that gets popular, once the de-influencing trend started gaining steam, there were certain circles of influencers who shifted hashtag de-influencing into a sales pitch instead of discouraging people from buying stuff. So what they'll do is they'll give negative reviews about products that they think are overhyped or not worth the money, and then they'll substitute the things that they think you should be buying instead, which isn't really de-influencing at all. That's just influencing, literally. So if you're on TikTok or Instagram, be sure to keep your eyes peeled and start to try to figure out who are genuine de-influencers and who are the ones who are just using it as a buzzword or a sneaky marketing tactic as a way to drive them more sales and money. Trend number 9 on this list is the trend of sustainable decluttering. Up until recently, most decluttering advice has encouraged people to get rid of their clutter as fast as possible, but the growing interest in sustainability has led to more widespread use of eco-friendly decluttering options. Instead of just throwing things in the trash or donating to thrift stores, people are exploring other options like donating clothes and furniture to churches or women's shelters, giving old towels and linens to animal shelters, or even selling or giving away unwanted items through online platforms, such as buy nothing groups and apps like Declutter, Poshmark, or eBay. I will make sure to link a few of my favorite resources as well as blog posts and videos I've made on this topic down in the description box below for you if eco-friendly decluttering options are something that you're interested in exploring. And finally, number 10 on this list is the trend of capsule wardrobes. Capsule wardrobes have been trendy for a while now, although there was a slight dip in interest that coincided with the pandemic of 2020. Since then, interest in capsule wardrobes has only continued to grow. Minimalists love capsule wardrobes for all sorts of reasons. Capsule wardrobes promote sustainable fashion by encouraging you to invest in classic and high-quality pieces in colors and shapes that stand the test of time. And focusing on quality over quantity can save you more money in the long run, as you'll naturally buy less and need to replace clothes less often. Also, curating a small and simplified wardrobe is a great way to reduce the decision fatigue over how much time it takes you to get dressed in the morning. So if having too much clothing and feeling like you have nothing to wear is something that you struggle with, make sure and go check out this video that I've linked over here that's going to dive into how to declutter and reset your wardrobe in 7 easy steps. Or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.